Oh, yeah.
300. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everybody. Please turn your cell phones to mute or silence or off, just so we do not disturb the meeting. And Sarah, if you will, do the roll call.
Sure. Councilman O'Flaherty. Councilman Castillo.
Here.
Councilman Fazio.
Here.
Councilman Hoppenstead.
Here.
And Supervisor DePew.
Present. One change before we start going. I know you're the sound guy. One thing before we start, I am going to change our public hearing around. What I'd like to do is I would actually like to do the comprehensive plan update first, and only because the gentleman that's going to be presenting has quite a trip ahead of him. So at this time, I am going to open up the public hearing for the 2024 comprehensive plan. And basically what I am going to do is public hearing and adoption of the 2024 comprehensive plan update. Whereas at the meeting held on December 4th, 2024, the town clerk was hereby authorized to advertise for public hearing to be held at this meeting of Wednesday, December 18th, 2024, following the conclusion of the public comments period, which begins at 7 p.m. in the town hall of the municipal building, 1915 Route 4455, Modena, New York, relative to the proposed town of Plattekill comprehensive plan update. Sir?
All right. Hi, everybody. So I'm Dan from the Bald. I'm with Barton and with Judas. So we've been working on this comp plan. We started in 2019. We did phase one. We split it into two phases to make it more affordable for the town and for grant funding. So the first phase developed a vision and goals for the town. That was funded through the Hudson River Valley Greenway. This phase of the project was funded through the Department of State's Smart Growth Comprehensive Planning Grant. And that developed objectives and projects that support the goals and vision of the town. So we've held a couple community surveys since 2019, a couple public meetings. We received feedback from a lot of representatives. The town also set up a committee that we've been working with. Since April, we've been doing the second phase of the project and held about 8 committee meetings. So the general theme of the plan is to try to protect the agricultural and low-density character of the majority of the town while trying to focus any kind of business development or smaller lot size residential development towards the hamlet centers of the town. And we've accomplished all that. A couple other goal categories include environmental goals. We have economic development goals for the hamlet centers in the town. So yeah, we've developed between 20 and 25 projects that could potentially get funding from other grant programs, and they're all listed in the comp plan. There's copies of the comprehensive plan in the back. The next step of the project would be doing a zoning code update to make sure that the zoning code is in compliance with what we've proposed in the comprehensive plan. There are some recommendations in the plan that are related to zoning, so those will have to be updated in the zoning code. So yeah, the public hearing just opens this up if anybody has any questions or comments about the plan.
Can you expand on all those things you just listed?
If you would, during your public input, just state your name, who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Federico Crispino, Plattekill, New York. Can you expand a little bit? Because it's kind of like generalized.
Expand on like the goals and the...
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about... did you say smaller lot sizes?
Well, just directing more dense housing towards the hamlet centers of the town and have larger lot sizes, lower density towards the agricultural areas of the town.
That would be residential?
Yeah, so there is a category rural residential right now as the zoning. So maintaining that I think currently there is like multifamily housing allowed in rural residential, so that would be something we'd visit in the zoning code update that we're kind of recommending in this plan to look into if that's appropriate in the town. Right?
So when you recommend it, who finalizes it?
It won't get finalized till. You mean the zoning code update?
Sorry?
You mean the zoning code update?
Yeah.
So that would be the next. It would be a whole other project.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there'd be the same. There'd be a committee established again. It takes about a year to do the zoning code update,
Right.
and there would be surveys again. There would be public meetings for people to come and see what the updates that we're proposing would be.
So, like with manufacturing, where does that stand right now? I mean, I don't think many people understand where this manufacturing is going as of with the plan right now.
So that's one of the kind of recommendations in this plan to look at is to have a better definition of manufacturing, have a better definition of what a warehouse means,
Yeah.
and also specify lot size, like the sizes of these type of facilities. So they're unclear now, so that's why we're recommending in this plan to specify that and be more specific about where they're allowed in the town, and then that would occur in the zoning code update.
Do you happen to know where they're allowed right now?
I did. I had the use table at some point, but I think does anybody from the planning board know?
You're looking for the zones, the zoning?
Yeah.
That was the form I sent you today.
Yeah, I can't read it though.
I'll make you a copy before you leave.
Okay. What was I going to say?
So, does anybody else have any? Yeah.
Mark Reynolds, Southern Ulster Times. Can the comprehensive plan go forth and be in use even while the zoning plan is being developed? Because my understanding is those two really have to agree. And if they don't, then that's an issue. But do you know whether this will be able to be used and go ahead with?
It can be used as a reference right now on behalf of the town, but it's not a legally binding document. The zoning code is what's legally binding, so that's why it's state law that when you adopt a comprehensive plan, you do have to make sure that the zoning code, is in alignment with the plan.
And in all fairness, correct me if I'm wrong, the comprehensive plan is a living document, so that document, it's up to us to do our due diligence to update that, add to it, delete from it as society goes on and changes and what have you. So that is kind of a backbone. I hate to use that word backbone, but it's kind of a guideline for what the vision is that we want to see the town go collectively, not by the board, not by any one body of people, but by all the people of the town. So we follow that accordingly. What we have done is we filed for that grant for the next phase, which I won't even call it a next phase, the next step in the zoning. And that basically is just going to enhance and build off of that.
So this will dictate to
well, I don't want to say
planning the zoning.
it's going to be a guidance. It's going to be a guidance, and some things it will specify specifically, and other things that it won't. And again, this is a living document, so this is constantly evolving. Correct?
Yeah, so the zoning board and the planning board can use this now as a guide. Kind of like an overall, it's sort of more, it's not as, like I said, binding, but it can be, the character of an area is what we're looking for.
And do you know how old the present zoning code is?
The zoning code itself, I do not know the exact date. I really don't.
2017 is a copy?
No.
No, I believe it's older than that.
And
there was some updates in the zoning through the years, but there's never been a complete look at the zoning, and that's why we're doing that.
Right. And the original comp plan, the last comp plan was what year?
2003.
2003.
Okay.
So obviously both of them needed to be updated, looked at seriously. Things definitely changed. It's not the same world we lived in.
Right. Thanks.
Yes.
Okay.
And your name?
I'm Marilyn Lechner. In my, I came in late, so I don't know if this was addressed or not. I'm sorry. But height of these, if and when, if a warehouse is approved, about the height of the building and blocking people's view. Is that taken into consideration?
That will be part of the zoning code update, and that is part of the actions that we're recommending in here is to look at lot coverage and height of buildings.
Because my son, he lives behind the new warehouses in Newburgh, and now when he looks at his property, because of the elevation of the building, he's looking at the top. He doesn't know the top of the warehouse is even higher than his property.
He's just looking at the warehouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's obstructed the view of the mountain behind.
So yeah, doing a view shed analysis is something you can require of a developer. That could be part of what we recommend to see what it would look like when it's built.
That's actually in the zoning codes or the planning also. Height of the building and whatnot.
Yeah.
In all fairness, this comp plan points to looking specifically at things like that as in relation to the zoning codes.
Yep. And it's just one of the projects that's being recommended too. Anything else? Any other comments?
So whatever stands right now as far as what's designed to say residential, manufacturing, that's staying. Is that being all grandfathered?
Oh, what's there now?
Yeah.
That's a good question. How does it? So, yes, I believe you'd have to ask the town lawyer, but I think when it changes ownership is when it could potentially become an issue, but typically I think they're grandfathered in.
So be more specific what you're asking.
Well, it's suppose somebody owns a piece of property and they're allowed to put, say, commercial businesses there. So that's going to stay commercial?
So I'm going to tell you this. In the past, it's been my recollection that when they change zones and they take, say, residential to commercial, commercial to residential, if there's something already existing, that would be considered after the fact non-conforming. So what ends up happening is you cannot turn around and tell somebody they can't do something that they have done and already gained the approvals under one zoning guideline, and now they're doing another zoning guideline. But what it does do is it regulates anything moving forward. If there's something that's already in the process that's being done under the zoning and codes today, if it's changed during that process, then there is, how would I say, there's a certain point where then it becomes grandfathered, if you will. But you cannot turn around and change zoning to stop something that's already in progress. You just can't do that.
So if it's not in progress, you can change the zoning? Is that possible?
Well, you can change the zoning either way. There's not just one. You're not changing one piece of property. You're changing areas.
Right. Okay.
Areas change, not properties.
Okay, so it's not written in stone if it's not in progress.
Well, nothing's written in stone, but there's opportunities when somebody has a project that doesn't conform to that zoning, and then there's allowable uses through going to the ZBA and looking for variances. Those variances can't be like abnormal or extreme. Those variances have to meet the reasonability clause.
Right.
So what ends up happening is the boards look at those and say, yes, it meets it, or no, it does not.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I know with the warehouse, right? I mean, it's really a shame. I don't think too many people realized I was going to go there. In my opinion, I don't think it fits there. So I think people, when they realize what's going on, then everybody's like in an uproar. And I think, if there's a way we can prevent that from happening in the future, would be a good thing.
Come up with about $1 million, buy the land, and it's like you can have a phone.
Talk about this.
Let's stay on point, and then we can bring that under public hearing. Or excuse me, under public comment.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to give you an example that happened in the past. From my understanding, the Plattekill Market is supposed to become a gas station, and it was
On the end of Huckleberry.
correct.
No.
And it was grandfathered in that the gas station wasn't a question because it was already pre-approved. So that would carry through.
I can't comment on that because I don't know exactly what happened with that. I didn't follow. So
Oh, okay.
it would be unfair for me to make a comment on that.
Okay, when I came to the board meeting,
I'd
all I
like to
was
say something about that.
understanding.
That was approved through the zoning when Mr. George Cernak had it. And when you do a determination with the zoning board of appeals, it goes with the property.
Okay. So will that continue in the future?
That always continues if something is passed. There's buildings here that are supposed to have second floors. It's already in the zone. They already have approvals. They had never done it, and that's in the last 20 years.
But they could still go out there and do it because
Yes,
it's already.
unless something else changes. They have to-
I think to be fair, I want to make sure you're getting the right answer. I'm not sure that you're getting the answer that you're asking for. Specifically, are you talking about that building down there? Or are you talking
I'm
about
just
just
using
in
that as
general?
an example. That's
Just
all.
in general?
General.
Okay, I just want to make
but
sure.
that's
you
one
get your-
example that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
That that it wasn't the question about the gas station going through. It was a question.
Just a
about
general question.
The store, how big the building could be, if they tear down the current building, and how big the new building could be.
Yeah. The thing really that's important to understand is the comprehensive plan, again, is a guideline. And it's a guideline that's made up by the folks in the town. And it's what we really collectively envision what we want to see the direction our town going. Do we want to see 100-foot skyscrapers? Do we want to see, dense housing? Do we want to see, industry? Myself personally, I don't want to see Route 9. When I drive down Route 9 across the river, I pull my hair out of my head, and I can't wait to get back over to this side of the river and, take a breath. But I would never want to see that happen to our town at no point or no place in our town. But, some places you can regulate that because of the zoning. Some places you can't. Some places they're allowable uses. Some places they're not allowable uses, and you can get you can go and get the variances to make that. But again, it has to be reasonable. That's what this comprehensive plan is basically doing. It's giving us kind of a guideline to fall back on and a reference manual that really we have 14 people between the two boards, the planning board and the ZBA. And they all have a copy of our comprehensive plan. And they're looking at that, the original one that we had or the one that we had previous to this. And they're making their decisions based on looking at that and seeing where the town people before us wanted the town to go. And we tried the best we possibly can to stay within those guidelines. That's why it's very important that we've updated this, but it's even more important that we update our zoning codes as well, so it goes in conjunction with this and follows, very closely. Yes, sir.
Along that line, I'm glad you brought that up, and I know because I've been also attending these meetings about keeping our town rural. And Dan and I also spoke about agricultural property staying agricultural because, once you start putting these developments on that land, it's gone forever. And I think that's something the town should look to preserve is agricultural properties because they have been dwindling. And, it's a food source, whether it's vegetables or apples or whatever it is. But the point is, like I said, that land should be kept for that use and not be able to be developed into these big subdivisions or anything else.
How do you make that happen?
You pass a law where agricultural, you put it in your zoning, that this land that's active farmland or whatever, it stays active, it stays agricultural. That's how you do it. I mean, we pass laws for everything else in this town. There's no reason why you can't put in our zoning codes the same thing.
So our zoning code, the intent, that obviously that is one of the very important things. Preserving the open space, by all means, preserving the open space. I would love to see fields with cows in them. I'm a cow guy. Apple trees, take them down, put the cows in.
Well, you can do that too, as long as you leave it agriculture.
Nonetheless, agriculture, you're right, and that's the importance of the zoning. To keep that as agricultural land. But there's certain things that you cannot do. There's people who own farms or larger tracts of land, and they're doing things with that land that they're allowed. It's allowable use. Things I don't like. but we also have to respect that too. But that's all the stuff we have to
But
look
if
at.
that's an agribusiness, that's one thing because they're tied together. That I could see. But if it's somebody taking a farm and now they're going to put a subdivision, that's not agribusiness anymore. If they're having pony rides or hay rides or whatever else they're doing, or that's agribusiness, they're in conjunction. But not to do that, I think by eliminating that property, like I said, once it's gone forever. And
Yeah, they don't make it anymore.
that's right.
But a lot of times when it's kept at farm is what it is. It's really not the town either. It's the state with the grant money or giving the farmers money saying, stay in agriculture, you can't sell out to developers.
That's fine, but how many people are going to do that? I mean, if it's in our zoning where it's protected, you don't have to worry about that because now it's in our code, and until whenever you change it again, if it gets changed, so be it. But now that you're upgrading it, now's the time to be looking into this because, like I said, it was brought up in these discussions when we were having these meetings. So I think it's something.
Many times it was brought up.
Right.
Dan, can you just clarify, are we going to be following kind of the same path where we're going to put out surveys to the people during the next process for the zoning? They're going to have their input, their say as to what they want to see, how they would like to get exactly what he's talking about. That's going to be something that we're going to be able to actually touch and be able to take into consideration as we go forward.
Yeah, so we'll do a survey pretty early on. We'll work with the committee on asking the right questions that are specific for the town. And then there'll be two public workshops during the life of the project for the zoning code update for people to come and we try to visualize what a zoning code looks like, which is difficult, but take what we're recommending and have sort of images of what this would look like in real life. So that would be kind of what the public workshop would be. They're more important. I think zoning updates are more important than comprehensive plans because they directly impact people and their land and what's around them, but they don't sound as appealing to attend. But we'll try to make them as appealing to attend because we want as many people to go to those, especially because they really have an impact on your property and everybody around you.
Well, it's also fair to say, again, if I'm wrong, the zoning portion, the zoning updates are more black and white than the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is kind of,
this really sets the stage.
That's right there, black and white. So,
yep.
And it's important to address those situations or those comments and what have you at that time.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What this gentleman was talking about, I know in Jersey, what they do is they allow the farmer to stay on the property, live there, and continue farming like tax-free. And then also Jersey offers like grants for the township to buy property. I don't know if they do that in New York State.
There's certain programs in New York State, but we don't have that in the town of Plattekill as of now. But there is programs that they can actually build into or eventually have to do something like that. Right now we have the Open Space Institute, grants through the DEC, Walker Valley Land Trust, I believe Hudson Valley River Keepers. There's a bunch of not-for-profits out there. So the possibilities are there, but there's nothing specific yet in Plattekill to do that.
Yeah, because like what happens, naturally the farmers, maybe they get tired of farming. They see how much they can get for the property. They sell the property and the houses go up. The farmers keep selling it. Before you know it, the farms disappear.
Unfortunately, that's what's happening all over.
That's what happens.
Yep, that is what happens. Somebody had their hand up over here.
I did not. I just wanted to know the schedule. There would be other opportunities for input, and I'm hearing that there's going to be at least 2 or 3. So.
Yeah.
For the zoning code update, there'll be a survey and public meetings.
Okay.
And actually, Dan just told me earlier that we can expect possibly next month hearing.
Yeah.
So I don't anticipate this being a long wait to start the next process. I'm hoping that we'll be able to start it. Does February sound pretty reasonable?
Let's say March, April.
February sounds better. Yeah.
Sounds better, yeah. It's a short month, though. So.
Understood. So yeah, I mean, our anticipation is to move right into it.
Okay, good.
All right.
No, 2-1.
Is the Modena development man here?
I'm sorry?
Is the Modena development man here at this meeting right now?
Modena Development Man.
Right, the person who was proposing the warehouse.
No,
Okay, I'll say.
not that I know of. I don't see anybody here that, but then to be honest with you, I don't know what they look like, so.
Okay, I thought you had a meeting with her.
I did not have a meeting with Modena Development, but you can bring that back up on public input. I'll explain exactly what that was.
Okay,
But no,
that would be
there's nobody here that I know of unless I'm not seeing anybody.
Okay.
All right?
So then I'll put that down.
All right. You had one more thing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so me and Dean, he sent me this picture of like, it's kind of small, but he said he's going to bring a bigger picture. I guess this is what the zoning's.
Yeah, it looks like that's the zoning.
That currently is the zoning. You don't have any copies of that with you, do you?
I do, yeah.
I think if people saw what was going on the maps, they would understand a little bit.
Here, you can have
You know
this.
what I'm saying? Maybe they could tell somebody, listen, don't build a house here.
Look at that.
They're going to be building a
I'll
warehouse.
charge you too much.
Here, you can have. There's a few maps in here. There's land use.
Do you have like a there's the legend.
Yeah, it might be slightly different colors.
Now, does it show the areas, the names? Because it's kind of
It
generic.
would be, the darker,
You have to go by the color.
yeah, the darker yellow versus the lighter
Is
yellow.
what?
Darker yellow would be
Yeah, I don't
more
know.
dense allowed housing, for lighter yellows.
Like, how many acres per house would be this?
So might say here 1.
Over
I believe that's what these numbers need.
over how many acres?
Yeah, a little bit. One lot. Minimum 1 acre. Be 1 acre.
So he's offering you that map.
Take it.
Take that map. Put your glasses on. Look at it. I can tell you can't see it. All right, and then you should be able to get the information off that.
Okay,
And
thank
again,
you.
if
Thank
you
you.
don't,
Thank you.
we'll take care of it.
Huh?
I said if you don't get what you're looking for, let me know and we'll
Okay.
get what you're looking for.
No, you've been very helpful.
Yep, we try. We definitely try.
All right.
Anybody else?
Okay.
You're good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Thank you.
So I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to close the public hearing for the Comprehensive Plan 2024. And with a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. And I would like to make a motion with resolution number 77. Whereas the Comprehensive Planning Update Committee, the committee of the town of Plattekill, was created by the town board in accordance with New York State Town Law 272-A to review and propose updates to the town comprehensive plan with the assistance of Barton LaJudas, DPC, and whereas the committee held extensive public outreach, including public meetings, community surveys, workshops, and public hearings on October 23rd, 2024, and has recommended the adoption of a comprehensive plan update to the town board. And whereas the town board, acting as lead agency in this action and completing a long environmental assessment form for the purpose of CEQA, determined that the action will not have any adverse environmental impacts on the community, its character, or quality of life. Whereas the town board intends to adopt the 2024 comprehensive plan update conditionally upon incorporating comments received from the public hearing held tonight, December 18, 2024, and after reviewing comments from the Ulster County Planning Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattekill issues a negative declaration for the action with respect to CEQA and are in favor of the adoption of the 2024 Town of Plattekill Comprehensive Plan Update, and be it further resolved that the town board hereby adopts the 2024 Town of Plattekill Comprehensive Plan Update and recognizing it as an official update to and replacement of the Town of Plattekill's 2003 Update Master Plan. And this resolution shall take effect immediately. Okay, that is a motion, gentlemen.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor with a second to adopt. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. And the anticipation of the comments from the county are, he's writing them up, I
Yeah.
believe, and we'll forward them to you.
Over the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Dan. Have a safe trip. Okay. That is next public hearing. We have a continuation of the moratorium on the battery emergency storage. That's it. That's after the minutes. After this. Okay, so the public hearing is the continuation for the moratorium for battery energy storage systems. And let me just get my paperwork here together. All right, we had left the public hearing open on the moratorium for the battery storage. We left it open with written comments only. I have not received any written comments since we did that. We sent the declaration to Ulster County. The information up there for a referral response, we did receive it back. We could not continue at our last meeting because their meeting was the exact same night as ours. So we have the referral response from the Ulster County Planning Board, and it says the municipality is Plattekill, refer an agency, local governing body. Type of referral, other special authorization, and this is from the town of Plattekill, and the subject was the moratorium. Moratorium battery energy storage systems, and Ulster County Planning Board, their final decision came back as no county impact. So that being said, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing on the battery moratorium energy storage systems.
Second that.
So we have a motion on the floor to close the public hearing on the moratorium for the battery energy storage systems. With a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, again, bear with me here. More to take.
Question.
Yes.
Could you give us just a little bit more on what closing means on this issue?
So when we close the public hearing on, this is specifically for the battery storage systems. What this is we're closing the public hearing where everybody had the opportunity to speak onto it, give their comments, and talk about it right into, for I believe it was 2 months, or a month and a half, I'm sorry. So we close it. And what this specifically is for is a moratorium for any review of any kind of applications for 6 months so we can look at this and see how this fits into our community, whether it fits in environmentally, safely, and many other aspects that go along with it. But this doesn't stop it. This just stops it for temporarily until we come up with an idea on how this fits into the community. All right? So at this time, I would also like to make a motion for the Town of Plattekill Resolution number 76 of adoption of local law number 3 of 2024, moratorium prohibiting review of applications for battery energy storage systems. Whereas an introductory law entitled Moratorium Prohibiting Review of the Applications for Battery Energy Storage Systems was introduced before the Town Board of the Town of Plattekill on October 2nd, 2024, and upon notice duly published and posted, a public hearing was held on November 20th, 2024 before the Town Board, and whereas the public discussion was heard and at such hearing concerning the merits and environmental significance of said introductory local law. Now therefore be it resolved that the adoption of the introductory local law entitled Moratorium Prohibiting Review of Applications for Battery Energy Storage Systems is a CEQA Type 2 action and is hereby determined not to have a significant adverse effect on the environment. Be it further resolved that the introductory law entitled Moratorium Prohibiting Review of Applications for Battery Energy Storage Systems of the Town of Plattekill be and hereby is adopted as local law number 3 of 2024 of the Town of Plattekill on December 18th, 2024. And that is a motion. And we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
That's the question.
Opposed? Opposed? So carried.
Is there a possibility the battery storage farm could go through?
Bring that up on public input.
Okay.
Okay, so that is that. Next thing, I'm going to make a motion under minutes. I'm going to make a motion not to read the minutes for December 4th, 2024.
I will second.
We have a second not to read the minutes for December 4th, 2024 meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. And I will make a motion to adopt the minutes or accept the minutes for the December 4th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
So we have a motion to accept the minutes of December 4th, 2024 meeting with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay. At this time, I will make a motion to open up the floor for public input at 7:35 p.m.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion on the floor to open up for public input at 7:35 p.m. with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Hold with somebody who spoke before you. She went outside? Okay, so Mr. Crispino, now's your time to shine. What was your question?
So is there still a possibility the battery farm could go through?
At this time, there is no opportunity for review of the application. Whatever the board finds at the end of this, we're going to follow what the recommendations of the committee and what the recommendations of the board put forth. I'm not going to say, no, it's never going to come. I don't know how that's going to look, whether it's going to be regulated by the size, the amount, the area. I don't know what that looks like yet. When they do their due diligence, then we'll have an answer. Sorry, I couldn't be more specific.
Well, it just seems to me there was a lot of opposition and legitimate opposition.
Well,
As to the
duly noted.
changes and how to apply the farm's going to handle it. If you hose it down, where's these chemicals going to go?
Duly noted. But again, with the recommendation of the committee, when they bring it back to the board, all that stuff will be discussed and everybody will have their opportunities to speak. And again, if we do in fact do any kind of a law or any kind of a huge change or anything, it'll have to go to a public hearing and there'll be questions at that time. All right?
Thank you.
So everybody, yes, ma'am.
When they take into consideration, you were saying that there's no environmental impact on it. Is
You just heard me read that, right?
Yeah.
So by what that meant was by passing this resolution shows that there's no environmental impact on anything by us passing this resolution. In other words, that has nothing to do with the actual battery storage. That has to do with the resolution that we're passing. So we can't stop something from happening that's going to affect the environment in a negative fashion. I make myself, you understand what I'm saying? It's kind of confusing.
the water source gets contaminated?
No. This has nothing to do with what we're proposing. We're proposing a resolution for the moratorium on the review of the battery storage systems. So by us doing that, we had to look at it and make sure there would be no adverse effects by us doing that. But nothing to do with the actual project, just the procedure of what we're doing. It's confusing. And when I read it, I said, it doesn't make sense to me when I read it, but that is what it is. Ms. Beinkopfer, you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to talk a little bit about the location where the warehouse was proposed.
Yes, go ahead.
Turns out that property has got two wells on it. They're on the far western side, close to the road. Near that guy who does water repairs. And when they pump one well at 100 gallons a minute, the other well, which isn't very far away, goes down like 40 feet. There's a huge aquifer under there. So I was trying to figure out how we could obtain that property. Unfortunately, I think Modena Development actually bought the property from the ranch. And I don't know what he paid for it. Now the price is probably sky high if we wanted to try to buy it. But I was hoping between the town of Gardner and the town of Plattekill and the DEC, we could raise enough money to actually buy that piece of property, because someday we're going to need a public water supply. I was just thinking for the future that would be a smart thing to do. But I don't know enough of the details about.
To the best of my knowledge, that transfer was the transfer of the property, I believe, was somewhere in early spring, late winter or early spring. But I do believe that the transfer did go through.
Yeah. I think the Gardner people know what they paid for it. I just haven't had a chance to find out.
Yeah, again, I don't know what that is, but I do know it was for sale for quite some time. I do know that the sign was down there for quite
It
some
still
time.
says for sale.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but it was sold.
I know.
No. All right. Anything else?
Okay. That was all I had in mind.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I just want to follow up with something you and I spoke about with the Liberty View Farms that I know ZBA passed it eventually to you. Do you have an idea of the time frame when this board might look at that?
I believe the process, what they do is they made their determination, or they made their recommendation, so to speak. And what they did is they voted onto it. And I think what happens is now the letter of determination is authored, and then that goes back to the ZBA, and I believe it goes to the applicant. And I think it's the applicant's responsibility. I believe they have 60 days to notify the boards of the next step or avenue that they want to go on. So as it stands right now, I have not received any letter of request to come before the town board.
Requesting a decision by your board.
Well, the next step. So I don't know if that means that the applicant does not have the determination in front of them, or if they've decided to wait, or they're conferring with their people. I really don't know how that is, but I anticipate within 60 days we should hear. And if we don't, then I believe that they're no longer interested in following through. I can't speak for the applicant.
So then, if that was the case, then the ZBA comments stay as the record on record, as the record.
Well, they're part of the record right now.
Right.
So the ZBA has made their determination,
Right.
and then their determination by voting, however they voted, and then that goes back with a letter of determination gets sent to the applicant, the original applicant, and they have 60 days to respond.
Okay. Thanks.
You ready? Mr. Crispino. Yes.
Can we talk about the gas station on?
It's your time.
Okay, I know it's grandfathered because it was approved at one time.
I believe, Willie.
Yep.
So where are they in the process right now? Do they have their approvals, or do they have to do something?
They have not come back to the zoning
Yeah.
for the final stuff, and I don't know where it was left off,
Willie,
but I
is
know
it
that
zoning or planning now?
zoning, because Janice said that she even sent them a letter. Are they going to continue? Because they want to clear up all the applicants, and they have not responded.
I think they had to respond to the dry wells because they drain their own stormwater.
Oh, they have to respond, but they didn't come back to continue.
Well, the thing is, what I'm concerned about is, first of all, in order to put a retaining wall, which they have to put in the back, they're going to expose graves because they're right on the property line.
Well, that was all. I went to the public hearing, and that was all addressed.
So what are they going to do?
Putting up a new wall.
Putting up a wall.
Yeah, but they have to excavate in order to put this wall
Do
up.
you know how that property is? There's shale right there. They're not going to excavate that much. And what they do is going to be shale, and then they'll pour their wall or whatever they're going to build. But that was all part of the zoning, and all those questions were answered at that time. If you request the minutes from the zoning clerk, or the town clerk, they will get you those minutes, and you can do that.
Okay, because I've been in the construction line a long time, specifically doing concrete and excavation, and sometimes the ground is not going to stay up; it can actually collapse. And in order for men to work there, anything over 6 feet, they have to put shoring up.
Yeah. They got to follow all OSHA rules.
Okay, who's going to watch these people?
So they will be watched by the code enforcement. But I'll also tell you this: maybe your concerns if you stop in and look at those maps or inquire about the whole process. You can go back also on our website and look at the past minutes for those meetings through the ZBA and through the planning board. When you look at those minutes, I think what you're thinking is, and maybe I'm wrong, it sounds like to me you're almost thinking that we're going to remove that stone wall and replace it with another wall. I would have to say in the construction world, they're probably going to leave the integrity of that wall there. And they'll probably dig in front of it and put a wall in front of that. So you're actually building a double wall to maintain what's already there.
I talked to, who was the building inspector before the gentleman's in now? What was his name?
Scott Mandowski?
Yeah. Him and I agreed that they have to go down so far for a new wall.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not in that trade, so I can assure you that the building inspectors and code enforcement officers will be watching that.
Okay.
I would have to imagine if there's a cemetery involved that there's going to be a lot of people
Once
watching.
they go to zoning, then they go to the last approvals of planning, and then they have to follow the engineering
Okay, well,
specs.
I'm just questioning because also that building, I don't know if it contains asbestos shingle, so it needs to be watered down when it's demoed. It has to have zipper drains over by the street. I know a lot of businesses, they don't maintain those zipper drains. So if they're not cleaned out, the water's just going to run right over into the streets. And if that's full of gasoline, we got a real problem. There's some storm sewers there, but I don't know where they go. I think they go right into the wetlands.
All that stuff, I can assure you that when that's all done, that's not only done by the planning boards, the ZBA giving the variances, but it's also looked at very closely and meticulously by the engineers.
And then,
I understand that.
Yeah.
and
That's in the perfect world. But when they install the zipper drains and it's not maintained, which a lot of these gas stations don't maintain them because it doesn't pay for them, it's going to be a problem. Because any spillage is going to go right over into the roadway and into those drains, which goes into the wetlands across the street.
I haven't heard that term before, zipper drains, but I'm going to ask our code official tomorrow.
And then also, like I was talking to Dean, that the cemetery is going to forever be blocked. We'll never see the cemetery.
there's going to be an entrance on Huckleberry Turnpike.
Yeah, I know, but you got to go through his parking lot to get to it.
And he gave permission for that, and it was on the premise.
Yeah.
There's only certain things you could do, but as long as they have all of the plans, they have to follow it. That's the law.
That's really disrespectful.
I don't know what you want me to say about disrespect. Well, we have a process of the planning board, zoning board, building department. This is the town board. I understand your concerns, but we have other boards that will handle that. Hopefully they do their job
But I think
properly.
the town should get involved with preserving that. So I know they maintain it. Huh?
Yeah, well, they maintain it.
Yeah, they cut the grass.
Technically, not even technically, specifically, we are involved. As far as them building and designing, the site plan has to be approved. They don't just get carte blanche to do what they want. So the site plan is looked at by the planning board. It's referred to the engineers. The engineers look at that. If there's any kind of discrepancies that are legal ramifications, the attorneys look at that. The engineers do all their due diligence. And, in a perfect world, like you say, there is no perfect world. You have to look at it. You have to be respectful and mindful of what's going on. But the reality is, it's not being done frivolously. So it's being designed, it's being looked at, and each step will be watched accordingly. It's not going to be let go.
Well, you know the deal. I mean, anybody could read a book and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. But when it comes down to practice, it's a whole other story.
Understood. And time gets away from everybody, so we have to do our due diligence and keep aware of it, be mindful of it. Right?
Dean, there was approval in the past, like Willie mentioned, by George Clooney there. George Clooney. Anyway, I was on the planning board at the time when they came in, Sea Freezer involved. and they were going to put a gas station there. So there was already one approval for that. It just never got built. So I'm sure it's probably in the archive somewhere, but there was an approval once already for that, to have a gas station convenience store. So it wasn't like this is something new.
Yeah, but the thing is, now there's new studies. Over the years, there's been more studies.
But what I'm saying
so
is that
you can't go by the old studies.
what I'm saying is there was an approval already. So
No, and again, even though it was approved, I'm sure that they looked at that very closely.
That was approved, and also what went into planning and zoning was taking down the building and putting in another building, and that's what they were looking at also. But as far as the approval, it was there already, okay? And they have to go according to the engineer and architects, and they got to study it, and they got to do it right, and they haven't come back, so I don't know what that's about.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're going through that process.
Yeah, they could be going through the process right now.
Well, like I was saying, there's been new studies over the years. In other words, where the gas pumps are, there's actually a layer of gas there. You don't see it, but it exists. So that's a hazard there. So I don't know if anybody's going to address that. Plus, you got a house that's only about 200 feet away. Are they exposed to that?
Well, you have a post office there, you have a business there, you have a lot of things down there. Again, I have to be respectful of the boards and respectful of the folks that engineer it, architects that design it, and even though things have changed, regulations and the eyesight has changed also. So they're very restrictive. They're not just going to go down and dig a hole in the ground and put a tank in and say, hey, we have a gas pump. They're going to have to meet certain criteria in order to do that. And I am certain, correct me if I'm wrong, Willie, the DEC also is very close to that. Extremely close. Yeah. So they're very aware of that down there.
You work for the DEC.
For a short time. Yeah. For a short time. Yes, sir.
The other thing you got to remember is the town planning board engineer is going to be reviewing it also. So it's not just a one-sided thing where
That's right.
the applicant's engineer is doing all the work and they're just going to go, oh, okay. So, the town's professional is going to be also reviewing. And if there's any questions, then they have to work it out so that it works. So it's not a one-sided review.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Does the zoning board take care of it, or the planning board, of the type of wall that is built?
The type of wall?
Yeah.
Planning.
So is it
Planning. Okay, so what ends up happening is
decorative, or is it just
I'm going to touch real light onto it, but if you're going to do a project, you're going to have a vision and you're going to want to do something. So I would assume you're going to hire an architect, a designer, an engineer that's going to make that process. So what ends up happening is that's designed specifically to work with the situation that's going on down there. And like Mr. Limbaugh just alluded to, that does not get looked at just by the applicant's engineer. The town engineer looks at that also and verifies that accordingly. If there's questions, which a lot of times there's many questions. Very rarely is there not a question. But there's questions and then there's answers. And they come to those answers in a conclusion to make it as safe as possible and to make it as right, not as right as possible, but to make it right.
Okay.
So they definitely do the due diligence.
When I look at the rock wall, I look at it as part of the cemetery.
Yeah.
But if a wall comes up and has front of it, then it's not going to be.
There used to be a house right there, and when they opened up the back door, it was right to the cemetery.
Yes,
Yeah, with the
exactly.
parking lot
I
is.
remember the house.
Yeah, many years. All right, anybody else?
I'm too old, so
You're too old to remember all that, right?
No, I remember it.
Yes, ma'am.
Fran, excuse me, do we know yet what's going into the Lasher former building?
I can only tell you I've heard rumors of possibly some sort of a dress shop or costume design on one portion, and I've heard rumors on the other side of possibly a liquor store of some sort. That's
Where is this?
all I know, and that's not specific. I can't, tell you exactly that's what it is. I do know. I will say this: he's cleaned up the building. It looks great up there. It really does. Yeah, very appreciative of that. Hey, anyone else? Going once, going twice. I will make a motion to close public input at 7:55 p.m.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay, so there is no additions. Under the reports, I'm going to make a motion not to read the reports tonight and let all the folks know that they should be either on the back table, and if they're no longer back there, or if there's not any, that the town clerk has them available in her office tomorrow. So I'll make a motion not to read the reports.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion not to read the reports with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Old business. We have the golf cart that we put out for bid, and we opened up the bids the other day. Here is a letter to the town board of the town of Plattekill. Dear town board, the town of Plattekill advertised the bidding of the 2004 golf cart on November 26, 2024. This bid was advertised in our town newspaper, town website, town Facebook page, and on other public signboards. Bidding was available until December 13, 2024, end of business day. Monday, December 16, 2024, bids were open. Present was the town clerk, Sarah Nelson. Witness was Jan Weber, bookkeeper David Pugh, supervisor, and the following bids were received. We have one bid in the amount of $600, one bid in the amount of $408, one bid in the amount of $300, one bid in the amount of $656, and one bid in the amount of $751.51. So we had a total of 5 bidders that responded. We had no bids that were rejected, and the highest bid is $751.51. What is your pleasure, gentlemen?
Accepted. The bid from Miss Fazio, Terry Fazio.
So number 5 was Terry Fazio, had the highest bidder, and that was received on 12/11/24. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the highest bidder of $751.51.
Second that.
We have a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Any recusals? Opposed?
Oh, maybe I should recuse myself. It wasn't me, but
No. So carried. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 4 in favor and 1 recusal. All right? So that will go for $751.51. Next, we have the update on the swearing in for our candidate that achieved the victory there back in November. And the swearing in will be January 1st, 12 noon, right here at the town hall. Next, we have the ARPA Resolution 1 and 2. And this is going to be a lot of reading. I apologize for boring you, but I'm going to put you to sleep. Okay, so resolution number 78 of 2024, December 18th, 2024. This is the ARPA, America Rescue Plan Act resolution regarding remaining funds. I would like to make a motion, whereas the town of Plattekill received $1.46150.700 in ARPA funds in 2021 and 2022, and as stated in the required annual filing through 3/31/2024, the town has a remaining obligation balance of $978,946.90, which must be either spent as provided via verified payment, cash check, or electronic payment obligation in a formal contract, signed by both parties and or by purchase order confirmed by 12/31/2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Plattekill Town Board agrees to prioritize, where possible, the listed projects with the remaining ARPA funds to be completed and fully spent by 12/31/2026 to meet the allowable ARPA timeline. The purchases of 14 custom, and I'm going to take a piece of paper here. Bear with me. So the purchase of 14 custom point-blank body armor through New York State OGS contract, PC 69427, $9,511.60. The purchase of 30 Arm Point Arco P2-W, and I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, Ameriglow Tall Back Straight Black Glock 30 Suffering weapons sights times 300, by 300. Ultra 1000 aluminum white light and 10 Glock magazine, 9mm orange follower bulk purchase from New York State OGS Group 35200, PC 68729. Amount $35,465.90. The purchase of non-lethal equipment of EOTech HWS Surefire Mini Scout lights, Magpul orange from Remington, and these are followers 870 and Jaguar orange slings purchased through Walker River Small Arms for the amount of $4,655.93. The purchase of 26 right-handed Safariland holsters and 4 left-handed holsters purchased through Ridgeland Outfitters for the amount of $5,570. The purchase of AED supplies through Cardio Partners Incorporated for the amount of $6,826.11. The purchase of a podium speaker system purchased from Hudson Valley Audio Visual Incorporated for the amount of $4,029. The purchase of a Canon Image Class printer scanner purchased through Dell under the New York State OGS contract PM 20820 for the amount of $360.99. The purchase of a Conoco Minolta BizHub copier fax purchase from Allstate Business Systems for the amount of $2,775. The purchase of a computer from Dell through the New York State OGS bid for the amount of $1,827.61. The purchase of a desktop scanner purchased through Amazon for the cost of $279.99. The purchase of the Town of Plattekill envelopes through WD Mason for the amount of $372.48. The purchase of furniture for multiple offices and meeting room through Amazon for the amount of $4,574.72. The purchase of signs for the park purchased through Signs Direct for the amount of $757.30. The installations of new computer software and any IT consulting through AlphaTech not to exceed $2,500. Be it further resolved that the town will recognize that changes may occur in the allowed time frame and will allow up to a 10% override in the estimate amount of the listed projects contracts to be paid with the available funds. At the regular town board meeting in the town of Plattekill held on December 18, 2024. And that is the motion for the resolution.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor to pass resolution number 78-20, 2024 with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Does that bring it to zero?
No, it does not. There's other obligations that we're working on right now. We're just waiting for the appropriate paperwork to come back. Okay. That is the first resolution. The second resolution is actually move. Okay. This resolution is 2024 number 79. This is a budget amendment. So the following, and this is to move the money in place. I will make a motion, whereas the town board of the town of Plattekill has approved to utilize the ARPA American Plan Act Fund and increase expense line H4.1660.20 Central Storeroom, ARPA/ARPA, I should say, $9,704.50, H4.1680.200, Central Data/ARPA by $48,571.20, the H4.3120200, Police/ARPA by $120,000. $491.79, and the H4.1440.200 engineering/ARPA by $77,750, no cents. The H4.1420.200 attorney/ARPA by $6,000, no cents. The H4.1010.200 town board/ARPA by $48,444.25. H4.5130.200 machinery by $112,961.20. Whereas this is necessary to show expenses for the funds utilized through ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, for the projects, equipment, and supplies purchased or contracted with. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattekill, Ulster County, to amend the year 2024 general fund budget increase expense line H4.1660.200, year 2004, central storeroom/ARPA by $9,704.50. The H4.1680.200 central data/ARPA by $48,571.20. The H4.3120.200 police/ARPA by $120,491.79. The H4.1440.200 engineering/ARPA by $77,750. The H4.1420.200 attorney/ARPA by $6,000. The H4.1010.200 town board/ARPA by $48,444.25. The H4.5130.200 machinery by $112,961.20, for the total amount of $423,922.94. Be it further resolved that the funding shall be supported by use of the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds received in the year 2021 and 2022. So that is the motion.
I'll make a second.
So we have a motion on the floor with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. All right. Next on the agenda is to appoint the building inspector. So we had a building inspector that we interviewed several times, and we had other prospects that eventually decided to not proceed this route, but were given other opportunities other places, and they took them. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that as of January 6th, 2025, we appoint to our building inspector, or building department, a new building inspector, and his name is William Johowski, and his salary would be $32,700 per year.
I will second that.
So we have a motion on the floor to appoint building inspector William Johowski at a salary of $32,700 starting January 6, 2025. With a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Next on the agenda is the request from the highway superintendent. And the request was for, I will first read the memo to the town board, town of Plattekill, from Robert Weger Sr. This is 12/11/2024, and this is truck purchases. I am requesting approval to begin the process of purchasing 2 new highway trucks. One truck already had preliminary approval for purchase, but will not be delivered for 1923. I am proposing use of the New York State mini bid process for the cab and the chassis. The mini bid process will allow other dealers to bid the sale. Once the cab, S plural, and chassis, S plural, purchases are approved, I will supply the board with a bid option for the equipment. The Onondaga County bid will be awarded soon for the equipment. Truck would have to be ordered in January of 2025 to get a build date. Please review the supporting documentation I have supplied and add my request to the next available town board agenda. Gentlemen, you received your folders. Read through them diligently, I believe.
Yes.
Our highway superintendent is present at the time. Wait a minute. Oh, there you are.
Moved on up.
You moved.
Moved on up.
Okay, any questions? Or actually, before we have any questions, you want to just give a presentation or a synopsis of what we have here in front of us?
Just what tonight already supplied. The first truck was ordered back in 23. They couldn't supply the trucks because of the EV mandate and lack of other materials. We're not the only ones that had this problem. Prices went up in that meantime. So moving forward, I did get some preliminary cost estimates. I believe the cab and chassis are going to be right around $155,000, and I did get a pretty solid cost on the equipment. And this is all standard to what we have. There's nothing different. It looks like on the Onondaga bid, it's $122,000 for the two plows that go on the truck, the dump body, and the sanding parts and pieces. So I think we're going to be right around $277.
Total cost for each truck, $277.
Estimated. The mini bid system we haven't done. It does allow other dealers of the same manufacturer bid the cabs and chassis. The company we've been using in the past has kind of not come true for us in many other towns. So this will expand. The dealers have a quota. They're only allowed so many cabs and chassis, so many trucks to sell. So that's kind of tough. We have a real busy dealership. They can't fill all their customers' orders. So this will open up to other dealerships.
So this gets you in line guaranteed? Do we drop off at any point, or when the build?
Well, they project 180 days just for the cab and chassis. But it's not guaranteed.
So you're still not guaranteed, even though you get in line.
No.
So they go to a bigger municipality, can buy all the trucks, and then you're left with no choice.
The state put a big order in. Right. And consumed a lot of the cabs and chassis. But the EV mandate really was killing it. Sure. And that's starting to hit the homeowner now, because if a homeowner the resident wants to buy let's say a diesel motorhome as of January 1st, the dealers in New York State have to sell one electric-powered motorhome for every 10 diesel engines they can sell. Right now, there's no electric motorhomes being manufactured. So what does that do to people who have jobs, supply chain? Right. And this is only in New York, New Jersey, I believe Connecticut, and California. The DEC, as of October 9th, gave us a window just for municipalities to start buying diesel trucks again. But there's no way that 2-year window, which is really only 18 months, I believe, is going to keep up with the supply. It's just impossible. So this may have to be revisited in 2026. One of our neighboring towns took them 30 months to get the last truck, and it's been 30 months and they still don't have it. It should be there sometime this December. The last truck.
So you wait 180 days, possibly get 1 year marked.
Just for the truck.
Then another 30 months possibly before you see it.
To get all the parts and pieces put on it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Yeah. It's a struggle.
I think he covered a lot of that too in his mini book.
yeah, it's a lot, but people don't realize what the trickle down is happening with all this stuff. It's a problem. 2035 is going to be tough, because every year that ratio of electric to diesel engines increases every year.
How do they? I don't know.
Governor Cuomo signed that into law when he was governor. And I think I just saw on the news by 2035, California isn't going to be selling. They want to stop all gas engines being sold in new cars in 2035. This is going to be a serious problem. Mm-hmm. So the mini bid process is something new to us. We would supply all the specs on a spreadsheet to New York State. They send it out. There's, I believe, certain time frames we can request, a fast turnaround or a little bit longer turnaround. I think it's as short as 5 days. And then all the dealers that are hooked up on the mini bid system will reply in kind. And then I would bring that back to the board to approve. Once we get that approval, I would also ask the town board to sign off on the plows and the dump body So those parts and pieces get ordered simultaneously. So when the cab and chassis gets done, hopefully the dump body and the plows will all be ready to go. And then we just wait for an assembly date.
So this sounds crazy, but who puts all that stuff together?
Here, as far as the mini bid?
Who fastens all those nuts and bolts?
Oh, Viking. The Viking.
Viking's doing it?
Yeah, the cabs and chassis would be delivered to us here, and then they would be parked here until they get a build date. And that also saves a little bit of money because normally if a dealer sells a truck, when it goes up for the upfitters for the body parts, they haven't gotten paid for the cab and chassis, so they're waiting to get paid, and so you save a little bit of money by paying off the cab and chassis up front.
So what happens with that warranty? Does it start the day you sign the contract, or
the warranty starts on the delivery date of the cab and chassis?
So potentially we could lose 10 months, 12 months.
Oh yeah,
months.
Yeah.
Or not have trucks.
Yeah, the longer you wait, and more expensive it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's not going to get any better.
No, you have to stay on top of it. If you don't replace the equipment, then it's sad to say you can drive on potholes, but if you don't have trucks that plow the snow, what are you going to do? And the trucks that we'd be replacing will be 17 years old. By the time these trucks come in, they're going to be a year or two older.
And they would be surplus out, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Trying to think if there's anything else. So, $277 each, ballpark. $68,000 more from the last truck we bought is the increase per truck.
Yes. This would be supported through this fund balance?
Yeah. And I did get a quote from Freightliner of Lancaster in July of 24, and they were at $180,000. So they were $25,000 more than what I'm getting ballpark price in. But you can't buy from out of state anyway.
I was just going to ask.
You can't. I tried. You can't buy out of state. You never going to let the register because of the EV laws.
Is there a particular brand that you're looking for?
Western Star, same as what we have.
Stay right with the same.
Well, the town board authorized quite a while ago to standardize the equipment. So
Yeah,
we tried
makes
to
sense.
Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Gentlemen, any other questions?
No, I think he covered it pretty well if you read this.
Yeah, there's a lot of juice.
Well, like you say, it's not going to stop snowing anytime soon. So what's your plan?
Yeah, I'm good to move forward with it.
So I will make a motion that we move forward and allow the harbor superintendent to go out and seek the purchase of these two vehicles.
I will second that.
We have a motion on the floor to move forward with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
So how quickly do you come back with the...
I actually have a
45 minutes.
I have a meeting tomorrow, a Highway Association meeting with the representative from Campbell Freightliner, and I'm going to get him started. He already has the specs, so they'll assemble the mini bid. We'll do our part of the mini bid. We'll get it submitted. I'll find out what the turnaround time is. I'd like to come back early January. I'm probably not going to make early January. Probably second meeting in January. So you folks can look at the bid price and thumbs up or thumbs down. So you do have another opportunity to approve it. If you approve it, I would have the town supervisor sign that. The trucks are built in quarters. I don't know if I'm going to make the first quarter. If I'd worked a little bit harder and got this done maybe a month or so ago, I may have made the February build date. Doesn't mean it get built in February. It's when they submit the paperwork. It would be 180 days from February. So this could span 2 budget seasons. In all reality, I don't expect to have the trucks. I really don't have to expect to have the trucks in 2025.
Right.
They have a shop up in Harrisville, New York. There's 100 cabs and chassis waiting for plows and dump bodies right now. And there's a shop in Connecticut. I'm not sure how far behind they are, but we're all doing this. Every town right now has this 2-year window. They're scrambling for trucks.
Yeah, of course.
I hate to ask a question. Is it possible to pass that when he gets all the information, the board already give you the permission to sign? This way you don't have to wait for the next meeting.
I don't think it is.
I don't think I'd get it back by the first meeting in January anyway.
Okay, no, I just wanted to...
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just don't know what's going to
This
happen.
way,
that quick, so.
if you got it in 8 days, 10 days,
Yeah.
that was...
With a holiday, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
And
No,
January is coming pretty quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see.
Yeah, no, it would be great, but
All right.
Fully to
I'll get it done.
All good?
Thank you.
All good.
We jump back into this.
interview date. The interview date for the planning board.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was going to put that at the end only because it's going to be a little difficult.
Oh, okay.
I had put down possibly next Monday and Tuesday, forgetting that next Tuesday is Christmas Eve, so I don't think it'll work on
Oh,
Christmas.
come on. You can't take...
So I was going to hold. I was going to hold off. I did jump past the
Okay.
interview dates for the planning board members. But what is your pleasure? I would like to start interviewing these candidates
As soon as possible.
I would like to, if possible, next Monday night and the following Monday night.
Okay.
Is anybody available? 2 people would be perfectly fine.
I'm available.
We have one available. Anybody else available?
What night?
Yeah, I think I can make it.
All right, so this is what I will do. I will check the availability of those folks. We have 2. If you'd like to be involved, you could do one night, or depending on
23rd, you're saying, or what's the other one?
23rd or the following Monday, the 2 Mondays, next Monday or the Monday after.
Yeah.
And the anticipation is we do have one opening right now presently on the planning board, and we do have one opening that is opening up January 1st. I will tell you we have 6 applications, and I did get notified today that 2 more will be coming in. So there'll be an opportunity, I am sure, for you folks to split up and 2 at a time go and do the interview, and we'll go forward. All right, so that sounds good.
What time on the 20th?
You tell me what time works for you.
It don't make a difference to me.
So if it doesn't make a difference to you as well, then what I will do, and since the holiday season is here upon us, I will speak to the people tomorrow, and whatever is convenient for them, I will make that available. If there's an opportunity for the day, I will reach out to both of you and see if that's possible.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, it's tough for me to get here during the day, but I can work it out.
okay, I appreciate that.
The car's already on automatic pilot.
There's divots in the lot from where you park.
So
Change your home address.
I will say this. Yeah, the postman drops your mail off at the front door. So I will keep you guys abreast. I figure next Monday and the Monday afterwards, and we'll move forward. So we're looking for a good year
I
ahead.
got a cart on Amazon.
Keep in mind, we are going to have a closeout meeting on the 30th. Okay, something else, and I'm sorry, I took a different sheet of paper. I should have added that to the top, but I'm telling you now. We will probably have a special meeting at 2 p.m. 1 hour before that meeting, and that is basically to do all whatever purchase orders or whatever we have to conclude with the ARPA funds for the year. So that meeting will be held on January 30th at 2 p.m.
December 30th.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say? January? Yeah, you did. Already January here. In anticipation of January. So yes, December 30th, 2 p.m. And then we will have our closeout meeting at 3 p.m. Hopefully you guys can make both.
Purchase for ARPA.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have another request, and this one's going to be a lengthy request, and I will read. I was hoping to have somebody here to represent the police department tonight. They had a request to purchase 2 ATVs for off-road use and special assignments. So it says here, attention supervisor of the and the town board. Attached, you will find a procedural memorandum number 2024-18. This will explain the need for all-terrain vehicles within the Plattekill Police Department. It is also a guideline for uses, and operations. Any questions, please feel free to contact me, and we can discuss it further. So your first page shows your procedural memorandum number 2024, and this is subject to all terrain vehicle use and operation. This is issuing authority. It's Oscar Lopez, Chief of the Police. And he goes on to start talking about the purpose. The purpose is to establish guidelines and objectives for deploying and the use of the town Plattekill Police Department all-terrain vehicle. I can read through all of this stuff, but I can also let you guys, I'm sure you've already briefly read through it, but give you a synopsis. So there is, if this would be approved, there is a class, if you will, for certification through the Ulster County Sheriff's Department, and this would be for the safe use of the vehicles and also the limitations of what they can be used for and the advice on what they should not be used for. Situations for the ATV during special events or details when additional vehicles are necessary or where special circumstances exist. And he goes down to B. To conduct searches, surveillances, or investigations for travel to and from locations is impractical by other means of authorized transportation. C. To respond to medical or rescue operations where traditional vehicles would not have appropriate access. And D. Special assignments, patrol, where the use of ATV is reasonable and practical. E is any other situation or detail that is authorized by the Chief of Police. So there's going to be strict guidelines onto it, and it starts off with A. Trained police department ATVs may only be operated by authorized members of the department who have successfully completed the ATV operator's course as approved by the Chief of Police. Any employee who has not completed the approved training may only ride as a passenger. Town Plattekill ATV.
Excuse me 1 second.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
I made a phone call.
Yes.
They're buying a machine that's one up, not for two. So no passengers.
100%. You know what I'm thinking they're doing here, and I will make a note of that, and I think you guys should do that as well. If this is approved, then that would definitely be a one-person machine. I think this is probably a template for what do they call them, UTVs, the side-by-sides.
Well, that's why there should have been somebody standing here to answer questions.
Understood.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can. If I can answer it, I'll answer it. If not, then...
How are they going to transport these vehicles?
So that is going to be...
Trailer, truck?
Yes, that's going to be in further in the paperwork. The vehicles, what they're looking for is to purchase 2 ATVs, helmets, gloves. The helmets will be an open face type helmet, so they're looking for goggles, PPEs. They are going to put I believe I read in the paperwork in here that they want to have a winch on each one of them, and I think it comes with a winch, I believe. They also want to have first aid CPR kits onto them. They are looking for 2 ATVs and an enclosed trailer, and that's to carry them to and from. And it can be pulled by the SUVs that we have.
Trailers on here. So,
it's in the bed.
Oh, okay.
And then each one has the same.
And when I get there, I'll read that.
Okay.
I'll read that right off. So, equipment and uniform. All personnel operating the ATV shall wear protective equipment, and it goes on, again, it goes on to tell you the PMP that they're going to have if this is in fact approved. So, again, I just want to make sure that I don't, if there's any highlights here, to read them for you. So now we're down to the nuts and bolts, the actual cost of these things. So what we have is 3 different quotes. One is from Arctic Adventures. The one from Arctic Adventures, this would be a Can-Am, and the model year is a 2025. The trailer is a Nitro, and that is also a 2025. So this is a 101 by 12 crossover. It's a hybrid trailer, crossover trailer, all aluminum construction, and it goes on. I just want to look. It says LED dome light, so there's a dome light inside. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that these trailers are what they call a clamshell trailer, and they rise up, so you're not driving into a stable trailer, so to speak. It comes up, and it's kind of a flatbed with the opportunity to back off. And the trailers, funny enough, even though they got 3 estimates, the trailers appear to be the same manufacturer from each company.
It was like a $2,500 difference.
Yeah,
Toys is pricing themselves
It
out.
was a big difference. So Arctic Adventures was a total for the 2 machines with the trailer is $22,350. There is Big Boys Toys off of Route 9W in Marlboro. And that for the same setup with these would be Kawasaki machines. The only difference is Kawasaki and a 50cc difference. Basically, that's all marketing. They all make the 500s and the 450s, and they're basically considered the same class. And it looks like that bid is for $26,362.90. The next estimate that they have, there was 2 there for the BBT, Big Boys Toys. That second estimate was on a Brute Force 750. I didn't even look at that because it's not no comparison. It's not even the same machine. The third estimate that they did receive was from Duchess Rec, and Duchess Rec had a Can-Am, and that Can-Am is 2 Can-Ams and the trailer, the crossover trailer, and that amount is $24,033.00. So those 3 bids, there is no opportunity for state contract on these, funny enough. For UTVs, there is no circumstances. For the ATVs, there is not. The lowest bidder there, again, is $22,350, and that was from Arctic Adventures. So, conversations, comments.
Well, my one thing is when they say they're going to use it for medical, it's an ATV. They're not getting anybody out of the woods, so they're going to have to meet, whether it's Plattekill, Clintondale, or the UTV, haul someone out.
Understood.
And I don't think you're going to be doing many chases, because if they are, someone will get hurt.
I think some of the conversations that I heard a couple of them talk about is we've had a couple of situations just recently, and one of them, well, more than a couple, I guess. One of them was the theft of golf carts, the theft of a UTV, and the possibility that it could have possibly been in an area of 300 acres of woods between the nearest state thruway and Plattekill Road with no opportunity to go through the paths and what have you. So that was one place where they thought that would be advantageous to have it. Another problem is we did have that large fire up off of, what was it called? Something Ridge. Hemlock Ridge, the state property up off of Lewis Lane, and there was an opportunity to go up into there, possibly for whatever, search, rescue, whatever, law enforcement activities. And I do know that there's been a lot of activity with ATVs, motorcycles, unlicensed motorcycles, trail bikes, if you will, on a lot of the back roads over in Plattekill. Not that there would be a high-speed chase, but there's no opportunity to go investigate anything into the woods or surrounding areas. I do know the top of Unionville, Huckleberry Ridge, that whole area, Lewis Lane, those woods connect over to Marlboro on the other side of the mountain, and it's quite an extensive range. And, in that circumstance, it would be advantageous to have something like that. Special assignments, again, it's, quick transportation, maneuverability through a lot of the different events that we have. Our events are not getting smaller, they're getting bigger. I want the board to collectively
but it's
make
also,
a decision based on...
If they're investigating something, they got to go to the police station, pick up the trailer, the ATVs. Mm-hmm. So by the time they get to whatever site, them chance of those guys finding anybody, they're going to be long gone, because I know what we did on 4-wheelers and ATVs. It don't take long to disappear.
I just don't know where to start.
And they're a lot quicker now.
This to me there's so many questions that I have with this. And a good spot to start would be, these are now depreciating, maintaining assets that are now carrying costs for the town.
Understood.
We just increased taxes to continue to pay for carrying costs, right? This is something that we had I'll say I hope I'm right with this, a once in a 100-year fire in Hemlock Ridge. We had hopefully a once in a 50-year theft in the UTVs of there's Turtle Creek. So I'm saying these are maybe 1.5 lifetime type situations. It doesn't make any sense to me on any level.
100% understood.
And then you have cost to maintain. Who's maintaining it? Where are we storing it? Clamshell. I mean, it's like we're almost setting the thing up to be picked up, and you just have to be brazen enough to back into a police station, hook it up, and you're gone. You know, we have a box to store them in, possibly. Do we have space to store them? Possibly, but you still don't overcome the use of them. And then do we have overlap of potential coverage? You know, do the fire departments have them? I don't have all that answers. You know, I have one answer from Joe, but, you know, do we have accessibility with EMS or EMT that has them on fire-approved vehicles that carry the same stuff we're proposing here?
Yep.
Right? Is there redundancy in that? So there's a lot of questions that I personally have with it that I would, at this point, it's foolish to even look at sales orders or whatever it is.
So let me ask you this. Again, I presented it to the board. I said I would. I was hoping that somebody would be available tonight, and they're not. The chief is actually speaking at a previously set up engagement, so he was unable to come, and he does send his regrets. But I think there's value to possibly tabling this for further consideration and having him come in and present something.
It's got to be
before
quick,
we move
though,
forward.
because we don't have our window is slamming shut.
I would say that he would be here on the 30th, and you know, do your due diligence, each one of the board members, and reach out to him and whoever else that he has put in charge of this endeavor and speak with him. You know, I have questions I would like to ask.
I'd like to ask a
There's
question.
others that I reserve, but those are the ones that are
The state,
And all good points.
does the state police and the Ulster County Sheriff have drones? Because to me, you could call them to come out, and they could go over them and check out more than having these ATVs, because you're only taking one person. It's not like they could take somebody medical in or bring a body out.
Yep, understood.
I understand what they want to do, but I don't think that at this time, I don't see the money being spent wisely on this. But that's just my opinion.
Well, you know what? I mean, I'll talk to the chief. I would love to have him in front of me.
just explain it, but like I said, there's more layers to it, but the stuff on the surface is what I mentioned.
Yeah,
and that's
we talked about this earlier.
Correct.
Too, so.
And that to me takes that in itself is there's a lot of convincing.
Yeah, there's a lot of validity to what everybody's saying.
And there's a lot more costs for these on top of what this is.
Think
This
about
doesn't include the emergency lights, the sirens, none of that is coming on these.
Yep.
Because the trailer's got to have lights.
I mean, they're cool. Like, I would love these things. But,
so let me
a
ask you
UTV would be more effective than an ATV.
So let me ask you this, and again, I'm going to defer to you guys. Is there value in tabling it, making a motion to table it tonight, and request the chief or his representative to be here on the 30th at 2 p.m. and to discuss?
There would be
further.
some value with that.
And
yes.
I would also encourage each one to reach out personally and speak to the chief or
Who's the point person?
Excuse me?
Who's the point person for
I'm not 100% sure. Well, this comes with the chief's signature.
Okay.
But I do know that one of the sergeants, I believe, is heading this up. But again, I would encourage the board collectively to each reach out to the chief.
You know, I think that's fair. Table it, give him a chance to,
Yeah,
or
there's a
whoever.
lot of, but still, there's just a lot.
Yes,
Yep. And there's a lot of good
but it's
points
also
brought by everybody.
unfair Dean kind of like talking in.
No, I'm not suggesting he has to defend it. I'm just saying.
Oh,
we have
presenting
this.
it. I don't want to defend it.
We have this, and then we
I have my
have-
concerns as well.
Yes.
I understand it. And I see it in other departments that it works in other departments. But to what degree, I don't work for the other departments, so I don't know.
And
so I have a lot of the same concerns that the rest of the board has. But to be fair, I believe that we should allow the chief to express his concerns. And he runs the department. We don't. We oversee and finance, and that's very important to say the least.
But to me, if we give him enough time to bring another proposal with the UTV, because
I'll have that conversation with him.
I mean, really, whether it's a UTV or any type of equipment ad.
Oh no, I understand what you're saying.
Service thing personnel-wise that we are now carrying. Right. So there's other stuff that we're currently carrying that I don't want to add to. So whether it's two machines or one machine, it's more than what I want.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I respect what you're saying.
In terms of spending the money in a good way.
Yes, you're right.
I'm not.
I understand.
So I believe they're all valid points, and I think that everybody pretty much has the same concerns, and possibly even some new concerns listening to everybody else express their concerns. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion that we table it, and we ask the chief to be present here on the 30th of December, and at 2 p.m. to basically state his case.
Tell Big Boy Toys to get back in the program and cut $2,500 off the trailer. Maybe they get considered in the bid if we move forward.
I didn't hear you say that.
Them out right there.
I think Big Boys Toys is new owners now.
So I have made a motion. We have a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay, at this time, I will ask that we go into, we'll make a motion to go into executive session at 8:40, and should not take more than 5-10 minutes. So motion on the floor with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
And then the topic?
Personal. We thought we were going to talk about you, Mark.
We do that. Hi, nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 9:10 p.m. Second. A motion on the floor with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Mr. Alpestead, any questions, comments, concerns? Excuse me?
Vouchers.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns?
You wanted to go at the meeting if you had something to say.
Mr. Fazio?
No, I think we covered everything.
Mr. Castillo? Nope. Mr. O'Flaherty?
No, sir.
Okay. We will do the vouchers, and I will make a motion to approve the voucher detail report dated December 18th, 2024, which includes the A General Fund in the amount of $36,894.85. The DA Highway Fund in the amount of $30,140.68. The H1 Van Bridge, New York, in the amount of $30,719.04. The H4 Miscellaneous Supplies and Items in the amount of $6,065.70. The Clintondale Lighting District in the amount of $964.41. And the Modena Lighting District amount of $1,759.38. This would be for a grand total of $106,544.06, recognizing that the Audit Committee has reviewed the claims and found them acceptable for payment. That is a motion with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Motion to close the meeting.
Got a motion on the floor to adjourn?
Second.
One in a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.